happy to see everybody. I dressed up for you today. You gotta fake it till you make it, so I dressed like Beyoncé, and then by the end of this, you'll think that I am Beyoncé, so it's great. All right, so I'm Katie, and I literally know every human in this room, so this is just a reintroduction, if you will. Thank you so much for having me today. So the purpose of me coming today is that I am looking to build a career more around speaking and presenting and coaching and people development, and I wanted to practice something that was very dear to my heart and my presentation skills, and had gotten such great feedback from it when we had our offsite in 2015. So some of you have seen this before. I revamped it a little bit so you can have some new little nuggets. But it's the same message, and I'm really, really excited to share it with you. So without further ado, this is my presentation on finding your inner Beyoncé. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a little journey. A journey that starts out with me as the lead singer of a very famous group called Destiny's Child. I then move on to do things like make an album called Lemonade, marry the man of my dreams, Jay-Z, and now I'm actually pregnant with twins. Oh, wait, sorry, that's a different thing. That's actually not me. I'm Katie. And the story that I'm going to tell today starts about 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, I moved from Reno, biggest little city in the world. Can I get an amen? All right, great. Reno pride, all the time. So I moved from Reno to San Francisco, and I did it because I thought that this place was magical. I had always wanted to do it. I came here a lot as a kid and knew that I wanted to carve out my own place in the world, so I decided to come here. Not to mention that it's very affordable, so why not come on over? So can I get a quick raise of hands for any of you who moved to this city from somewhere else? Okay, most of us in the room. So keep your hand up if you might, all right? And let me know, go ahead and put your hand down if it was the easiest experience you've ever had moving to a new city. Right, okay, so you guys are mostly with me. For those who didn't see the hands up in the room, most of them stayed up, and that's because anytime there's a transition or something new in your life, it's really hard. And so you guys will be able to relate to this next part of my story, which is that moving to San Francisco was really hard for me. All the magic that I thought was going to be there really was hard to find. I was supposed to be in awe of this awesome magical city, and I ended up being really intimidated and overwhelmed by it. Not to mention, I was the new kid at Double Dutch. I was like number 60-ish or something like that, so new and early, and I was comparing myself to people like Jeff over there, see him? He knew how to do backflips, you guys. Like, he's very talented. We had a girl that we worked with that wrote poetry. We had all of these talented people who were comfortable in their own skin, people who were used to juice cleanses and the hipster fashion, all of these things that were just so stinking new to me, and it was really intimidating. So I was kind of feeling a little bit like this guy. Who am I? So I knew that I needed to get out of this uncomfortable, non-confident rut that I was in. And so what I did was just a small self-assessment. I asked myself questions like, what did I like? What was I missing? And what was I afraid of? Why was I constantly comparing myself to other people and not trying to just be authentically myself? So then I went through a little list of my favorite things. People, I love people. I love music. I love speaking Espanol. Sí, hablo Espanol. I know it's a little deceiving. And then I also love to dance. Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. So I knew I loved to dance, and the only times that I had been dancing like tap and ballet in kindergarten, and then, you know, at the club when I was working it with my friends. I actually don't call it the club, but you know what I mean, the club. And so I loved to dance. Every time I would go dancing, I would get so excited, and I knew I was good at it, and it was weird for me to say I was good at dancing, but I knew it was something I loved, and it's something that I wanted to push myself to go further. And so my little sort of dream at the time was, I want to perform. I want to get that validated that I can dance and people will like it, and I can go up on stage and not care and just let my hair down and do it. So then this happened. Note the gold pants, note the gold pants. Yep. Follow-up link so you can watch the whole thing over and over again. But, oh, I know where this is.
Just click in Keynote. If you click Keynote, Katie.
What do I do?
Click the Keynote icon on the bottom.
Let's see it. Oh my God, I'm so good. Great. Okay. So a couple takeaways from that. That voice that you heard at the end that said something like "Shake that booty, Katie." That was our own Justin Gonzalez. Yeah, obviously. I still wear those gold pants. And yes, my hair was really big that day. I think it was just from the emotions, and it just kind of like helium ballooned out. So other than those takeaways, I did it. I finished this silly presentation, or the silly dance, and it was actually performed at the Balançoire, which is like only a block from where the old Double Dutch offices were. So it's dangerously close, and way too many of you people came. But it was fantastic. And so what that was, what you saw was a pop star booty camp that we went to once a week for 6 weeks. We learned the moves, and then we obviously dressed up super sparkly and performed. And it was one of the best, most exciting things I had done, and I felt super confident, and I felt like I was able to keep up with everybody else. And that was important. And the reason I realized it was important, as something a dear friend told me one time, was the phrase, "follow your bliss." And that's what I was doing every week. I was following my bliss. I was treat yourselfing, if you will. And I was doing something that made me giddy and made me excited. And I didn't care if my friends weren't there at the performance doing it with me. I didn't care if people thought I would look stupid. I just did it because I really, really wanted to do it. So that really turned into the foundation of why I'm here today, which is digging deep inside to figure out what you love to do and why you want to do it and just friggin' doing it. So this is kind of long, but finding your inner Beyoncé, finding that inner motivation that I was starting to play with this performance was embracing who I was, what I like to do, and stroking my ego instead of doubting it. I was trying to be my biggest fan. I was working hard to enjoy myself and do the things to generate a healthy ego. And the most important thing was loving myself for who I was and who I wasn't. I wasn't the most talented dancer there. I was the prettiest, but I'm kidding. But I had all these fears, but it's important to identify that you may not be the best at something and you might be imperfect at something, and that's okay. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why that is, but that's really important to me, is loving yourself for who you are and also who you are not. Okay, so Katie, how do I find my inner, and then I wrote, insert your definition here, because it doesn't have to be Beyoncé. Now, I know that all of us are on the same page about how much we love Beyoncé. Like, everybody here, right? Right? Okay. But if Beyoncé is not someone that you identify with right away, here are another couple of things that you can channel that I'd like to help you with. So you can channel your inner #boss. You can channel your inner diva, your inner Ninja Turtle, your inner queen or king, your inner Nikola Tesla, inner Oprah, or inner Pikachu. Dom's gonna definitely do Pikachu. So anyway, it's not about the inner Beyonce or being a diva or even being a dancer. It's about channeling whatever it is and using that to give yourself confidence even when you don't quite have it yet. So mine was Beyonce. And it was Beyonce for a couple reasons. One, I love to dance to her music. But another really important one was her music and the message that I was getting from her music. So I felt really empowered by it. She would sing songs like, I'm a diva, or Who Run the World? Girls. And through that, I felt like I could emulate that behavior and get really confident even when I wasn't exactly confident about what I was doing. So pick an inner self-loving ego persona that helps you find that strength. Okay, so I'm going to run through a few tips on how to find your inner Beyoncé, and I put an asterisk in case you choose Pikachu. So you're going to find what works for you, not what works for someone else. You're going to not let fear rule your fate. You're going to celebrate small wins. You're going to not be sorry that you're not sorry, and I'll explain that one more in a minute. And then you're going to recognize that we're all responsible for finding our own inner Beyoncés. So let's dig into these puppies. Okay. At the offsite, my head was like this big on the screen. It was terrifying. This is a lot more digestible. Okay, so the first one is find what works for you, not what works for someone else. So I have a couple of examples of this. So one of my favorite bands is Future Islands. Anybody know who that is? Am I still relevant?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, Eric says no. Okay, great. So Future Islands is one of my favorite bands, and if you don't know them, the lead singer has a very guttural, snarly, like deep voice when he sings. And it actually happened by accident. A few years ago, he had lost his ability to sing at a high register. And so he was obviously very defeated. He's like, I can't sing like everybody else. But instead of giving up or trying to do something that didn't work for him, he found something that exactly worked for him. And it was this like snarl, like, kind of thing. And he's actually very well known and trademarked for that type of singing. And so it worked for him, and he kept moving forward in his career just by identifying what he was good at and not worrying about what he wasn't good at. Excellent. Oh, and then one more point on this is when you find what works for you, not what works for someone else, it starts to open doors and opportunities that are special and maybe even catered to you. And one example of this is I did my Beyoncé performance, as you saw, and I liked it. I had a great time with it. But then I met a girl in the Bay Area flash mob group that was practicing for a Missy Elliott medley. So my life got a billion times more exciting because I was dancing some like gritty hip hop. I was able to perform at a hockey game. It was like very semi-professional, but it was a hockey game. And then also, that was the year that San Francisco hosted the Super Bowl, and so I got to perform at Super Bowl City. So that was really, really cool. So by doing the things that I like to do and just keep putting along with my journey, I was able to open more doors and do more fun things. Excellent. Okay, don't let fear rule your fate. So fear is a pretty dumb emotion, if I may. I think it limits us from doing a lot of the things that we want to do. So, things like I'm not athletic enough or smart enough, or they won't pick me, or even worse, something like I may disappoint somebody, or people will think negatively of me. Well, that's just a lot of noise. So don't let fear and intimidation rule your journey. There are going to be haters out there. There are going to be people that judge you, but that's not the journey that they're on. They don't have to dance, but if you want to dance, you should abso-friggin-lutely dance. And then the biggest thing to remind yourself when you're going through something that you're like, I'm really afraid to accomplish this, ask yourself how you're going to feel once it's over. So most of us know Teresa Bach, and she came up to me the day before my presentation in 2015, and I was like pasty, ghost white, terrified of my speech. She's like, hey Katie, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just like freaking out over my speech a little bit. And she was like, oh cool, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, just like loving yourself and not being afraid to like do stuff. She's like, so you're afraid of telling people not to be afraid of stuff? And I was like, you're really smart. So that actually really kicked me in gear, and I kind of swallowed it up and said, okay, let's do this, and it really helped. So just putting that stuff into perspective, that you're gonna feel great when it was over. Many of you have heard me say that day was one of the best days of my life, and it's because I overcame something really scary. So don't let fear rule your fate, please. All right, the next one is celebrate small wins. So not every day are you going to have a Beyoncé performance or finish a marathon or figure out some secret ancient code. That was an engineer reference, I don't know, did it work? Thanks, Casper. So it's not every day that you're gonna have this big mind-blowing event. And so what I think is important to do is to celebrate the small wins. So, and what that will allow you to do is keep your ego, keep your self-confidence alive day to day between those really big moments. So it could be something as small as drinking your daily required intake of water. So, for example, I use a couple phrases to really help motivate me in these small wins. One is, I'm killing the game. And the other is, I'm making moves. So, now, while I may feel after this that I really killed the game at speaking, I also can kill the game at drinking my water intake. So it'd be something like, oh my God, I am killing the game at getting hydrated. See? So you find ways to just channel those small wins, because those are important, and that's actually real life, is the little moments in between. So don't forget to celebrate those and treat yourself. The next one, don't be sorry you're not sorry. I had so much fun with this photo shoot, y'all. So don't be sorry you're not sorry. And what I mean by that is don't apologize for being good at something. I think oftentimes we self-deprecate because we want to make others feel comfortable. So if I admit that I'm really good at something, I'm saying that you're really bad at something. But that's actually not the case. We are all part of some sort of team, some sort of relationship, family or otherwise, And it's really important to come to the table and know what you're really good at and feel confident in those things, and then be grateful and not threatened that other people are good at other stuff. When you stay in the non-threatened zone, you can allow yourself to just be confident, and you won't even have that feeling anymore. You'll just know, like, here's what I do, I'm really badass, and they're really badass at what they do, and now we're an awesome team. The next one is, we are responsible for finding our own inner Beyoncés. So what I mean by this is that I cannot be responsible for you all to find your own inner diva, boss, ninja, etc. And you shouldn't be responsible for mine. So we're all on this journey, and we can't necessarily replicate what someone else thinks is successful. So for example, David McCollum is probably not going to put on gold sparkly pants and go twerk at the balancoire.
You don't know that.
I don't know that. He's right.
You've seen my pants.
I have seen his closing pants. Coral is exceptional. Yeah. So, but he will definitely wear those coral pants at 100%. Probably go mess around on the golf game, and he will live his inner best self. Do you know what that is by any chance? Payne Stewart, is that his name?
Yeah, about it.
I think maybe that's him. I just like how he dresses. Okay,
The knickerchip.
to be continued. So David has to do what is right for him, and I can't tell him otherwise. The other really important thing about this is that you have to be able to fill up your own cup before you can fill up someone else's. Because if not, you are going to be so tired from trying to figure out how to help everybody else, and you're not going to have the resources to do it with yourself. Kind of like when you're on the airplane and you have to put on your own mask first. Put on your own mask first, find your own inner diva, ninja, etc. And then you're absolutely welcome to help other people take care of their own inner self-loving ego. All right, so just a summary. So find what works for you, not what works for someone else. Don't let fear rule your fate. Celebrate the small wins. Don't be sorry you're not sorry. And then remember that we're all responsible for finding our own inner Beyoncés. So don't worry, this is not participatory, you don't have to raise your hand. But please take a moment to think about what you think your inner Beyoncé looks like, and what your goals are, and what your gaps in your confidence look like, so that you can fill them with things that really make you happy. And so I know that uh-oh guys, you know what's about to happen? So I know that my personal inner self-loving ego is Beyoncé, duh. Yours doesn't have to be, but I guarantee that you're gonna leave here today feeling a little bit more excited about this Wednesday afternoon, and I'm hoping it'll get you a little bit closer to finding your inner best self. So without further ado, I'm going to teach you a few moves that's going to really shake us up for the rest of the week, and with that I will send you off to find your own inner strength, love, and confidence. So all right, follow me, here we go. Phoenix, I can't see you, but you better be working over there. Okay, let's do it. You don't have to stand up. Standing up is fine. I did create these moves so you don't, but I'm standing, so need some love. All right, stretch it out. Don't stretch it out. Don't pull a muscle. All right. Okay, the first one is the shoulder shuffle. Okay, so it's just the hands on your hips and the shoulders go up and down. Okay, and then if you can hear the beat, JJ, if you may. Okay, faster. There we go. And then you can really shake it up and move your head. I know, it's like... Okay, we got the shake. Oh my god, you guys look amazing. For the record, I've seen Lawrence and Tom do this. Okay, the next one, very simple. Put up that left hand. Back and forth, do the single ladies. Get that beat. Get that beat. You got it. Yep. Ooh, and some people got the hits too. I like it. Okay. The next one is the Queen Bee brush. All right. So it's gonna be a little complicated with the microphone, but you're gonna put your palms facing your face, and you're gonna go 1, 2. And then you're going to go to the other side, put your palms facing away from you, and go 1, 2. So it looks like this. And then now you know all three, so you can mix them up. So a little shoulder, little single legs. To the shoulder, and a single leg. I'm going to be a Zumba instructor too. Shoulder, single, shoulder. All right, thank you so much for coming today. And best of luck finding your own personal inner Beyoncés, and thanks for having me.